Okay, Beverly, where are you? Beverly's going to take it from here and introduce the storytellers. Yeah.
Welcome, everyone. First of all, I want to thank the storytelling team who puts this on, who does the work of finding people to tell stories. That's Michael Needleman in the back. That's Howard, who just spoke. There's also Wanda, right? Lori Wanda, right back there. And Bree Davies is also a big help, and I don't see her tonight, but welcome. So I just wanted to tell you before we started, this mic seems high.
Oh, get it down to your neck.
Okay.
Just right.
Oh,
Raise and lower.
all right, thank you. I just wanted to say a couple things before we get started about We the People Warwick. We have action. We just finished a series of dialogues where we bring people together for the first time to kind of interact with each other in ways that go deeper than our normal everyday interactions. I also want to make you aware that we are focused on social emotional wellness in our community. So we have a team that really is kind of highlighting the ways in which we build connection through being the light, random acts of kindness. We also want people to recognize that saying hi to your neighbor is not enough, getting to know your neighbors better. So neighborhood gatherings we're promoting. Youth engagement team is really focused on trying to engage young people in understanding they have the agency to create the world that they want. And I think one more story share, because I cover them all. One of the things I just want to bring to your attention that we're starting new is a time bank here in Warwick. How many of you understand what a time bank is? Great. I left materials on the table for you to learn about it, because it's to our advantage to highlight the fact that we both have skills. All of us have skills we can share, and that when we need help, we can ask someone and exchange our time to benefit the community. So take a look at that and sign up on our website. All right, so I want to explain Nancy. So we have this, we try to be strict about the 5-minute share, and I think for the most part we are. Sometimes when there's a full moon, we get a little kind of sensitive, but we generally try to stay true to form. So I call out a name. Nancy is the person who has the flashing light. Can you flash it for us? Nancy, explain exactly. Nancy Naltegal.
So when you have
4 minutes, 30 seconds.
4 minutes and 30 seconds, is that what I do?
It's 4 minutes and 20 seconds, so much.
The light goes off when you have 15 seconds left. Is that right? That's what I think it is. No? 5 seconds?
I think we don't want to be that cruel.
Okay, what is it?
I think we should get them 30 seconds, don't you think?
30 seconds. When you
Okay.
have 30 seconds left, the light will go off. And then when your time is up,
Everyone
can you
can
hear the
clap.
applause? Okay. What up?
All right, so I have 12 names in this hat. A week ago, we only had 7 names. So things have changed, and I'm really excited about that. I pick a name out of the hat or the basket. Sometimes people ask me if to kind of benefit them in some ways. I'll do my best to be fair. So the first name, I haven't looked yet. Craig Roberts.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Craig.
I'm Craig.
Move that up.
Can I move it up?
Yeah.
Let's see.
No, right now, this side, this side.
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Wow. This one? Oh, this one goes. Okay. All right. That's better, right? Okay, I'm Craig Roberts. Now, I can't tell you the year it happened. I don't even remember how old I was, but I remember the red. That car, bright, bold red, shot down the Cub Scout Pinewood Derby track like lightning. And when it crossed the finish line first, the crowd erupted in applause. And suddenly I felt like Mario Andretti in miniature. I won a trophy. It was one of those gold statues on a wooden base with a plaque that read, "Champion." My father made a special shelf for it in our basement rec room, and he sat it up there next to the red car. They sat on that shelf like sacred artifacts for years, under the buzz of the fluorescent lights and witnessing ping pong games and birthday parties and family reunions at Thanksgiving. And I still have them. Yeah, one of the wheels has fallen off and the plaque has become unglued on the trophy. They're not really much to look at, especially if you haven't lived the memory. But I keep them tucked away in a cabinet, wrapped in nostalgia, or something a little harder to name. The truth? This was to be a father-son bonding project. But mostly it was my father at the workbench with a coping saw and sandpaper while I hovered nearby, not really sure where I fit in, right? I might have picked the color. I think I picked the color. But he was the one that made sure that the wheels were aligned and the weight was just right, that this thing wouldn't wobble down the racetrack like a drunken shopping cart. On race day, I placed it at the starting line and let gravity do its trick. I got the applause, he got the splinters. Well, now the next year we made another car, but this one was sleeker, it was sexier. Didn't win anything. No applause, no trophy, just a quiet ride home and placed on the shelf without ceremony. You know, last night I was watching one of those feel-good Netflix movies. You know, this one was about an estranged father and his adult son reconciling over the building of a model car, reminiscing of the good times in the childhood. Now, I'm not usually a sucker for that type of sentiment, but somehow this one hit me hard. Enough that I dug out the trophy and the car, and I sat with them for a while. So why do I hold on to these things? This old car, this crumbling token of glory? Well, maybe I want to preserve the version of the childhood I wish I had. You know, a father and son working together, laughing, collaborating, building a car. Maybe I want to sugarcoat the truth. Or maybe for the very first time, I'm willing to look at it squarely. My father did what he knew best to do. He built me a car. He gave me a win. You know, he didn't always know how to show affection, but he knew how to use chisel and glue to take me to the finish line. And maybe that's enough. You know, I don't know when it's time to let go of memories, of symbols, of junky cars and unglued plaques. But maybe letting go isn't the point. Maybe you're to hold them differently. Not so much as trophies, but as tokens. These broken, imperfect reminders that we were loved the best way that someone knew how. So now, I probably won't throw them away, probably not now or ever. Because, you know, what I've learned is growing up isn't so much about letting go. It's about holding on with open eyes, a soft heart, and a little more grace. Thank you. Oh.
Here's the car. I even fixed the wheel.
All right, thank you so much.
Well done.
not supposed to look, right? This is Kathleen Georgalis.
Okay, I'm going to give it a go. It was January 15th.
Come closer to the...
January 15th, 2022. Artie and I were seated at the Iron Forge Inn celebrating our 50th anniversary. It was wonderful. It was lovely. We toasted each other. We ate a delicious meal. We thought about our 4 kids and our life here in Warwick. And we started to think maybe we should plan a party for everyone, have a party in our yard. It's been a while since we had a party in our yard. It was a tradition since we moved here in '96, and we had like maybe 60 people from both of our families, which are pretty big, and they brought tents and they stayed overnight, and it was wonderful. But our son Tom passed away in 2018, and suddenly parties sort of went away. And then COVID happened, and we let him go. But that night when we were sitting in the Iron Forge Inn, we decided, yeah, let's do it. Let's have a party. Tom would love it. Tom was our, every party was fun for him, and he was the life of the party. So we even picked out a date while we were sitting there, July 26th, but we couldn't really think about what we would serve. Now I'll tell you a little about Tom. Tom was our happy chef. Tom, when he was 16, got a job at Bobolink Farm, making bread and focaccia and pizza. And he loved it. We knew it was his passion because he would get up at 4 a.m. to go to Bobolink Farm, where I had to drag him out of bed to go to high school in weekday mornings. So he found his thing, he loved it, and he went off to college, but eventually left and went to New York City, and the first job he got was baking wood-fired pizza at Donatella in Chelsea, New York. And through the years, he rose through the ranks. He was line cook, sous chef, and eventually he became a chef. So we thought, okay, we'll have a party, we'll celebrate Tom, but he's not here to give us some good ideas about what to serve. We thought about pizza, but we really didn't want to order it, from the pizzerias. Not that they're not nice in Warwick, but it wasn't the same as the kind of rustic pizza that Tom made. So already now I've given out the invitations, I'm ready, but it's June and we still don't know what we're serving. So I go to the farmer's market one Sunday in early June to buy my usual fruits and vegetables. And as I'm walking out, I pass by a pop-up tent with, they're serving pizza. And I kind of see as I'm walking by that in the background there's a wood-fired oven attached to a truck. And there's a woman back there making pizza. So I got almost to my car at Kukin's when I thought, wow, maybe they'll cater. I walk all the way back and I said to the girl, do you cater parties? She said, oh yeah, we do that all the time. I said, you'll bring that to my yard? She said, oh yeah, we'll do that. So I said, okay, how about this date, July 26th? And she was like, perfect, we don't have anything booked for that day. So then we went over what kind of pies they would serve and how many people I would have, and got it all straightened out, all sorted, as they say in Britain. And it was great. I thought, oh, I can go home and relax. I started back to my car, and now I'm thinking, as I almost get to it again, you know what? I should go and tell them why I chose pizza for my anniversary party. So I walked back, and I looked at the woman and I said, I need to tell you a story. I said, the reason, and as I was talking to her, I saw the fireplace and the girl who was making the pizza, and she kind of was listening too. And I said, the reason I chose to have pizza at our party is because My son Thomas learned to make bread and pizza dough, and it was a passion of his whole life. He learned it at Bobolink Farm. With that, the woman who was making the pizza stopped what she was doing. She looked at me and she said, "Thomas Ansel Georgalis, I always loved him." And I was like, "What?" And she ran over to me and hugged me, and I was like incredulous. And she said, "I worked with Tom 20 years ago at the farm, and I always had a crush on him." The party was great, pizza was loved, and all I can say now is thank you, Tom.
Just show it to the camera.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, in the camera.
in the camera, where do I do that?
Is this right
Right
here?
here, right here.
Oh, okay, the happy chef.
I had to work on her to get her up here.
Good job, girls.
Ken Karras.
To dust or not to dust. I like a clean home, I really do. But if you guys came to my house, you would not find dust bunnies. Nope, you would trip right over the dust buffalo. Now, I come from clean folk. My parents had a clean house. My grandparents' homes were clean. My siblings' homes are clean. So as a result, I started feeling guilty about keeping an unclean house. So I went out and bought one of them spritzer bottles, filled it up, got a special rag just for dusting, and I put them in a prominent place to remind me to dust. But every time I picked up that spritzing bottle, one day I saw the dust on the end tables, the lamp globes, the mantle of the fireplace, and I picked up that spritzing bottle. As soon as I began to squeeze the trigger, I heard this little voice up here. "It's a nice day for a bike ride." I looked out the window. It was a nice day for a bike ride. I put the bottle down, grabbed my bike, I put my biking clothes on, and I went for a long ride. When I came back, I didn't feel like dusting. There was another day, I was standing at the fridge, and you know, if you don't clean the top of the fridge, there develops this tacky layer of grime. Ugh. I picked up that spritzing bottle, ready to... Same little voice. "Boogity boogity, time for bed. Wake up now before you're dead. It's a nice day for a hike." I looked out the window. It was a nice day for a hike. I grabbed my hiking boots, my trekking poles, made a lunch, and I did a long hike on the Appalachian Trail. You know, it's not too far from here. When I came back, I went straight to the fridge. Yeah, I grabbed a couple of ice-cold Sam Adams summer ales. So I was feeling guiltier and guiltier about not keeping a clean house until one day my perspective changed. I was driving far from home, and I clicked on my AM push-button radio. Do you remember those, right? And I clicked a station, and then I got distracted by some really serious traffic. So I'm focused on the traffic, and the last station that I had chosen was one of those preachers, and he's preaching. And I could hear him pleading, "Remember, man, that thou art dust, and unto dust thou shalt return." So he's preaching, and I'm driving. I don't have time to change the station because there's cars coming and going. And again, he repeats that, but louder and clearer. "Remember, man, that thou art dust, and unto dust thou shalt return." Well, I'm focused on the driving, and he's preaching. The third time, "Fire and brimstone. Remember, man, that thou art dust, and unto dust thou shalt return." Well, I turned off the radio, but I could not turn off his voice. I heard it coming home, driving up Route 23 in New Jersey, where I live. "Remember, man." I heard it as I drove on my little road, Beamer Road, in the middle of Wantage. "That thou art dust." I heard his voice going up my driveway. "And unto dust thou shalt return." This message was meant for me, but I wasn't sure exactly how. I walked into my house, stepped into the living room, and I stopped. I froze. The way the afternoon light was streaming through the plate glass window, I saw the layer of dust on the end tables, on the lamp globes, on the mantle. I saw the spritzer bottle. I looked at the dust. I looked at the spritzer bottle. I looked at the dust. And then I heard that preacher's voice, "Remember, man, that thou art dust, and unto dust thou shalt return." What did he mean? I looked at the dust. I looked at the spritzer bottle. I looked. And that's when I had an epiphany, a realization. I stood there and I thought, do I really want to spritz my ancestors? So I hopped on my bike and I rolled on down the road. Boogity boogity, time for bed. Wake up now before you are dead.
How many of you saw that dust when he was talking? Julia Calderon. It probably should come down a little.
Yeah, can I detach it if I need to?
Yeah.
On this side. Can I detach this? Okay, good. Yeah. Hi, everybody.
Go closer.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, it was about 17 years ago in the summer, and I'm coming home on my bike from my weekly Saturday bike ride, coming up the last hill on Charlevoix Road, and as I continue, I see on the crest of the hill, there's a car parked right in the middle of the road, and there's a woman there, standing there, and she's kind of mincing around like this. And I think to myself, she must have had an accident, and she must be injured. So I get up as fast as I can to the hill, and I say to her, "What happened?" And she says, "There was a deer leading a fawn, and when they saw me coming around the curve, the doe ran up that side of the road, which was a big embankment, and the fawn couldn't follow. It just sat down in the middle of the road. So I'm staying here because I don't want anybody to run it over." So I looked and I saw this beautiful little, probably newborn fawn, and I said, "Well, just pick it up and give it to the mother," because the mother was standing on the top of the embankment looking at the whole thing. And she says, "I'm not touching it." So I thought, okay, I said, "I'm touching it." So I went over, picked up the little baby fawn, and held it very close, and it was so sweet. It felt like an adult cat, sort of, the same weight and the same limpness, and it was making little crying noises, which I had no idea that a deer vocalized like that. Anyway, I bring it across the road to where its mother is standing, and I reach up as high as I can. But as I said, the embankment was maybe 7.5, 8 feet, and I couldn't get to the top of the embankment. So I put it as high as I could, and it slips right down. Okay, I try again. I put it as high as I can, and it slips down. So I pick it up again, and I'm standing there, and I'm thinking, I could do this all afternoon, and we're not getting any place. What should I do? I mean, if I only had my 6'4" son-in-law around, it would be a piece of cake. But there was nobody but me to try to figure this out. Well, so I thought, but someone else was thinking. Suddenly, the mother deer bounds down the embankment, crosses the road to the flat side, and stands there kind of with her legs apart, which they do when they could, want to run at the spur of the moment, and looks at me. So it was easy. I walked over, I put the little fawn down about 4 feet in front of her, And then I slowly back away, not to scare her. And she comes over and licks the little thing all over to get rid of that human scent. And then the baby stands up on its wobbly legs, and the mother turns around, and on the flat side of the road, they walk into the sunset. So, we didn't say anything, that other woman and I. There was nothing to say. She got back into her car and drove off, and I'm standing there balancing my bike and thinking, my God, what just happened, you know? I communicated with this wild animal. She understood everything. She wasn't afraid, and she even helped me figure out what to do. So I'm thinking, you know, intelligence didn't originate with the human species. There's plenty of intelligence out there, and sometimes I think that the other animals in our class of mammals are a lot more intelligent than we are.
Yeah, what's so wonderful about this is the range of stories, right? They're just so human. Okay, we're going to have one more story and then we'll have a 10-minute break or so. 10 minutes is probably good enough for a drink. Okay, so let's see who we have. Don Kilcoyne?
Hi, I'm Don.
And yeah, that's about right. Yeah. So it was about 1986. I was a young marketing guy working for MetLife in Manhattan, huge marble building. My dad, who's also Don Kilcoyne, also worked in that building, but I didn't really work for him. So his people didn't know me, I didn't know his people. One day, I walk into one of the giant marble elevators, and there are two men urgently talking about something very serious. I don't know them, but one of them says to the other, if you want the straight story, if you want an honest reaction, you want to be treated fair and square, you tell your story to Don Kilcoyne, because he's the straightest guy I know. And I'm in the back of the elevator and my heart, like the Grinch, grew 10 times. And I thought to myself, that's my dad. About 5 years later, it's 1991, it's April. My father is now retired very recently, but he's not feeling well. So all the kids were kind of gathering around the house a lot more than usual to make sure mom and dad are okay. One day, we're all gathered, checking on Dad. My older sister shows up, and she brings me an early birthday gift. She brings me a copy of Michael Shurtleff's book, Audition, and Backstage magazine, back when Backstage was on paper. And inside, there's an audition notice for the New York Renaissance Fair. Now, I had been there many times. I loved it. I thought it was great. I had never had a paid acting job before. Worked for free, plenty. So, okay, I'm going to audition. I auditioned. I nailed the audition. I got cast as Nasty Nick Bellows the Pirate. And I was going to get paid $35 a day. I took the job. But now the problem is my life is kind of split in thirds. I have weekends where I'm rehearsing as Nasty Nick Bellows, and then I have days that I'm working, and at night I'm visiting my dad, who's not doing really well. So I would sit with my dad at night, and when I say sit with him, he would sit with his back leaning against my back because he was in a lot of pain. The not feeling well turned out to be lung cancer. And so he would lean against me, and he would face that wall, and I would face this wall, and I would tell him about my rehearsals, and he would tell me about his radiation. And he would tell me about his chemo, and I would tell him about my castmates. And that's how we would spend our evenings. And together, we would try not to hear my mom sobbing in the kitchen over this. What really worked well was Nasty Nick Bellows didn't have a dad who was suffering from cancer. So on the weekend, I would play Nasty Nick Bellows, and I would recharge my batteries to sit with my dad at night. September 11th, 1991, my father called all the kids together. He wanted to talk to us one at a time. I was the last one to go in. So I went into his little hospice room, was our family room, and I knelt down next to him so I could hear his voice, and he said, "Donald, I need you to know something." And he fell asleep. And about 5 minutes later, he woke up, and he said, "You understand?" And of course, I said, "Yeah, Dad, of course I understand." And we knew it was time. So we called the priest, and the priest called the parish council, and the parish council sent a bunch of Catholic gentlemen over with a guitar. And they sang, "And we shall lift you up on eagle's wings, bear you on the breath of dawn, make you to shine like the sun, and hold you in the palm of his hands." And as they said, "Lift you up," my father, who could barely move, raised his arms. And when they stopped singing, he dropped his arms, and he died. And so that end of that week, we waked him like an Irishman. And on Saturday, we buried him like a Catholic gentleman. And so I stayed over my mom's Saturday night. It was the closing weekend affair, last thing on my mind, until 7 o'clock on Sunday morning. My mom is poking me on the couch saying, "You have to go to work." I said, "I'm not going to work. I'm not going to work the Renaissance Fair. We buried Dad yesterday." And she says, "Yes, you are, because today's the first day he can watch you do it." How do you argue with that? So that morning I raced. I got up there. I put on Nasty Nick Billows, the pirate who had not lost his father that week. And I went out to the front gate, and there's hundreds of people waiting, and I knew that I was going to go out and I was going to entertain kids, and I was going to make families laugh. And I stopped at the gate, and I knew how important the day was, and I said a prayer that morning for the first time that I have said thousands of times since then. And the prayer is simply, "Give me this day, that I may give it back to you through your people." It was such a good day. I knew Dad was watching. It was an amazing day. And it's only in preparing this story for this evening that 35 years later, I realized that's probably what my dad was trying to tell me when he fell asleep. Take every day as a gift and earn it by giving it to other people. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for giving your attention. Paul Massey, one of my favorite people. Did you ever know that a plumber could also be a yoga instructor?
My name is Paul Massey. I had a plumbing business in Warwick since about 1998. More than semi-retired now. But I still end up with things that need to be done. So this story is only from about 3 weeks ago. I had a request. I belong to the Oddfellows Lodge, if any of you are familiar with that. But we have a lodge right on Main Street, and I was assigned the job of meeting the Village of Warwick Water Department in order to have them put in a new meter. So I went to the lodge and I met with the water department representative, and they said, "We're going to shut the water off and then we're going to change the meter." And I noticed the condition of the valves were incredibly old, like everything in Warwick Village. So I said, I have the perfect tool. I own a press tool which crushes the copper and you don't need a torch and you don't have to burn anything. So I said, "You guys shut the water off. I'll go get my tool. I'll come back and I'll put a new valve on the main so we can safely turn the building back on. So with that, I went home and began to search for my tool. Let me just preface that by saying the day before, I cleaned out and organized my garage. Okay? So I find the case that the tool goes in, and I put it up on the workbench, and I gather up a couple of other things, and I'm going to go back and meet the water district after they shut off the water. So I'm checking a few things, and I open the case, and there's no battery charger or battery in the case. So I don't want to do anything with a torch in the 150-year-old building in the basement because I don't want to burn it down. So I start to try to ascertain what happened to the battery and the charger. And the last place I could remember using it was at Beverly's house. So I called Beverly. I said, "Bev, did you find a little electric charger with a battery?" She said, "No, I'll take a look." She said, "But I haven't seen anything." And then I called some friends, some coworkers that I'd done some jobs with a little less recently than Beverly's house, and all of them were like, "No, everything was in the box when you put it back in the truck." So I can't go back to the lodge without a charged battery because I wouldn't be able to. They would shut the building down and then they'd have to turn it back on with the old valves, and that would be such a waste of time to turn it on and then to try to get them to turn it off again. So they couldn't turn the water off because the valve didn't work. So they brought a demolition saw to cut the concrete. They bought jackhammers to break up the sidewalk. They brought a big vacuum truck that they used for cleaning out the storm drains and sucked all the dirt out of the hole so they could try to shut this valve. So after about 2 hours, they were able to shut the water. So now it's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon and the building is shut down. Still needs a new valve. I still haven't found my battery. So with that, I go home, again, back to the garage again, and looking around the garage, and I'm totally flabbergasted. Can't find my battery, can't find the charger, have no idea what I did with it. And as I reach to the wall to shut out the light switch, there's my battery and my charger sitting on the workbench that I had just cleaned out the day before. So the story is, just keep trying.
Thank you, Paul. Rick Weber.
So, as a man, I would like to tell a story about birthing. It's 1990, it's March, it's cold, it's snowing, and my wife is 8.5 months pregnant. And she's driving home. She wanted to work right up till the last minute. It might have been her last day at work at Saturday Night Live. So it's a Saturday night.
Raise the microphone up.
Excuse me. It's Saturday night, Sunday morning, excuse me, around 3 a.m., and she's driving home in a snowstorm. And she gets stuck in a snowdrift about a mile from home. No cell phones. So a guy happened to be going by right then on a snowmobile. So he stops and says, can I help you out? And she said, well, I live down the street. She hops on the back of a snowmobile and goes bumping down the road through all these snowdrifts. And now you might think that brought on a baby, but it didn't happen for another 2 weeks. Wow. So it's middle of the night again, and her water breaks, and we got a go bag. We're pretty cool. We take the scenic ride to the hospital, Get in a room, everything's cool, and she's starting to feel pain. And she says, I have to go to the bathroom. Okay, so the nurse takes her to the bathroom, and I don't see her for a little while. And I kind of hear these groans, you know. So I go knock on the door a little bit, and, you know, are you okay in there? And I hear some more groans, and I kind of open the door, and she's sitting there on the lid of the toilet in her robe, and she's got a roll of toilet paper in her hand, and she's chewing the toilet paper roll, and it's paper's going all over the place. And she just looks at me like, and you know, I found out later she was just experiencing a lot of pain, and she didn't know how to deal with it, and so that's how she dealt with it, you know. And Lamaze never told us this was going to happen. It did, you know. So now we're in the delivery room, and you know, my daughter pops out, and she's face down, and as she comes out, she rolls over, and her ear is kind of folded against the side of her head, and it just opens up like a little flower, and then she pops out, and the obstetrician is there, and he catches her, and he says, "This special baby," and I go, "Whoa, yeah, the special baby, I'm good with that." You know, I felt so warm inside, it was good. And she was super pink. I should have said that first. She was just pink all over. And that's when he said, "This special baby." So, and she is, by the way, she still is a special person. I'm not biased. And so now it's 4 years later, and my son is getting ready to be born. And we're in the delivery room, and he pops out, and he's blue. And he has the cord around his neck. And I'm like, and the obstetrician just grabs the cord and stretches it over his head, and he's fine. And I go, "Is he okay?" I'm used to pink babies now. So it's like, is he okay? He's blue, you know? Can he breathe? And obstetrician says, "He's calm. Yeah, he's fine. He's a good baby." And yeah, he was a good baby. And so I have two special kids, a pink girl and a blue boy. So now let's go back to 1990 after my daughter was born, and it's Father's Day. You know, my first Father's Day, and you know, I'm on the team now. I'm team dad. You know, I'm feeling good. Everybody's happy and healthy and strong, and it's a wonderful day. The sun's shining. I step out the back door. I'm strutting across the yard, and a bird poops, and it hits me right between the eyes, dribbles down over my nose, and drips off. And I'm thinking, what's the universe trying to tell me here? You know? And all I could come up with is, it's trying to tell me this is no big deal. You know, you're just part of humanity, and this happens all the time. But I have to say, it was very special for me. It was special for my wife at the time, and very special for my two kids. So, thank you.
I never heard a man tell a birthing story. That was so special. Madeline, Leo.
Thanks, Rick. It was the spring of 1963, and I was the sister of a god. My brother Roger was MVP of every sport, president of the National Honor Society, tall, blonde, and handsome, and he was headed to Yale University. All that summer, my father blasted the a cappella songs of the Whiffenpoofs until we knew every word. In late August, we piled into the car, my mother, my father, my little brother David, and I, to escort Roger to New Haven. His dorm, McClellan Hall, was a stately colonial on a beautiful enclosed quadrangle. There was a sign next to the door that said, "No admittance for females." My mother said, "How do they expect me to sew curtains for his window if I can't get in and measure?" Dad said, "Ignore it." And we all went in and we saw his little tiny bedroom and the suite that he would live in. Afterwards, we talked about what we wanted to see on the campus. I said, "I want to go to the library." My brother said, "You can't, no girls allowed." I already knew that there were many things that girls weren't allowed to do, but going into a library was not one of them. My father said, "Never mind, sweetie, we'll go to the Yale Co-op. And I'll buy you a Yale 6-footer. I had absolutely no interest in a coyly named striped blue and white 100% wool scarf, nor aspirations for the human equivalent, a real Yale man. I was outraged and there was anger in my heart. 8 years later, things were very different when it was David's turn to go to Yale. My little brother was as brilliant and athletic as my big brother. But after his first semester, Dad died suddenly, and Mom suddenly had to go out and find a job to support two of us in college. And it became my job to drive back and forth to New Haven, to navigate the narrow one-way streets, to master the art of parallel parking. I said to my brother, "I want to see the library." "Let's go," he said. And we walked through Sterling Library, but it didn't mean anything. It was too late. Dave's dorm was Farnham Hall, an immense Gothic pile that had been built in 1869 and was the oldest dorm on campus and in the nation. It had 10-foot ceilings. The rooms were huge. The windows were immense with tall, pointed arches. I said to my brother, "Where's the bathroom?" "Down the hall," he said, and called after me, "It's co-ed." I pushed open the bathroom door, and there immediately on my left was a shower stall with steam billowing out the top of it. The only bathroom stall shared a common wall with the shower. And as I closed the door behind me, the metal wall shivered with somebody pounding on it, and a male voice said, "Let me know before you flush so I don't get burned." "Okay," I said, and sat there in numb disbelief. How had it happened that in a mere 8 years, I had gone from an outraged child, angry about gender discrimination, rocketing through the years past equality to a new world where at age 20, I felt like an old fuddy-duddy. "Who are you?" I asked myself. And I answered myself years later, I am not the other. I am not the same as. I am myself and always will be. And I believe, too, that that is true for all of you. Thank you.
I hope there's some stories percolating in that audience out there. Tim Dalton.
So it's October of 2010. I'm in Detroit. I'm attending a conference there, and I've got my daughter with me. She's 12 at the time, and quite the seasoned traveler. We'd been around a lot together. The weather was beautiful, it was glorious, and we had been walking around the town between different events at the conference. And so we decided one morning when we woke up to see if we could find a place to eat breakfast. And we remembered that the day before we'd been walking through town and we saw a couple of restaurants that had outdoor seating. Now this was before COVID or anything like that, and this was pretty rare. And we were like impressed. So we said, let's go get breakfast at one of those places. All right, so we walked a few blocks and came upon this restaurant. And sure enough, there's about 15 tables outside, and people are sitting there chatting away, having a good old time. So we go in and we get the host and put our name on a list, and we're going to get seated. But as time went by, nobody was leaving outside. Everybody's engaged with their food and their conversations, enjoying the beautiful weather. And finally, it comes our turn to be seated. And the host gets a couple of menus and turns and gets ready to take us inside the building to sit inside. My daughter's face dropped, and I'm like, oh man, that's not what we want. We're here, we want to sit outside. And while we were standing there, I looked outside. There was a big window, and you could see the whole patio with all the tables. And I realized there was a woman, a young woman of color, looked like she's about 35 or so, was sitting at a four-top, table with 4 seats by herself, reading a newspaper. And I told the host, I said, wait a minute. And I went outside and went over and said, excuse me, miss, would it be okay if my daughter and I shared the table with you so we could eat outside? And she goes, oh, sure, you bet, and she folded up her newspaper. I went back in and got the host and my daughter, and we came out and were seated, and we introduced ourselves, and her name was Alethea Jones. And we placed our order, and while we were waiting for the food to come, we started talking. And it turned out that she was in town for the same conference we were, which wasn't too much of a coincidence because there were a few thousand people there from all over the country. And we started talking about other conferences and things we'd been to in the same vein. And I started to tell a story about a conference that I'd gone to sometime earlier in New York City. And I had been doing a consulting job in Providence, Rhode Island, drove back, got home, had supper with my wife, and was getting ready to go into the city. And my wife says, it's kind of late, and you're tired. It's like, maybe you should just get together with this man some other time. And I explained to her that wouldn't really be very easy because in the information about the conference, it said that he was living in South Korea. I said, I may not get another chance to see him at all. It's been like 20 years since I ever saw George Katsiafikis. And Alethea interrupts me and she goes, I know George. And my daughter and I are sitting there with our jaws hanging open, and it turns out that she was a teacher, a professor at Albany University, and he was a professor at university in South Korea, and they were both involved in the same subject and were actually working together on a project at that exact time. And so after that we sat and just had a nice little conversation about how small the world really is and how important it is to pay attention to the people around you because you never really know who's there.
Thank you, Tim. Kathleen Cheney.
I am in my 30s and living in New York City. I'm a nurse at a city hospital, and it's a time when AIDS was fairly new. My job was overseeing the care of AIDS patients and helping to supervise the program they had for them. And at that time, it's not like now, at that time people died, they suffered and died very quickly at a very young age, and so it was sad. But in this hospital, there was a pediatric unit where there were 4 babies that were in the hospital for social reasons. They couldn't be discharged home, but they weren't sick. So I started to visit the babies, and one baby in particular, because she didn't have any visitors. Some of the other babies had their mom or grandma coming, but this one little baby, Michaela, didn't have any visitors, so I started visiting her very regularly, like every day. And I grew attached to her. I remember one day in particular that I was trying to change the sheet in her crib. She was in the crib. I mean, as nurses, we change the bed with people in them. So I was trying to change the sheet, and I think I was being very serious and everything, and I looked over into her face, and she was just smiling and laughing. And I felt like she sees me, like, why am I being so serious? You know? So anyway, I went on a vacation. I learned before I went on vacation that her uncle would be able to adopt her. But I would see her again before when I got back, because she wouldn't be gone yet, but she would have a permanent home. Then when I came back from vacation, it turned out that the uncle could not take her. And now I'm just like, my Michaela, she was sick because I felt like because I went away and she felt abandoned, she had a cold, they were suctioning her, she was a mess. And I just felt like this baby deserves a chance to have a life. And she was a beautiful, beautiful little girl. Of course, I'm a little prejudiced, but so I decided to become her foster mother. At that time, there weren't enough foster homes, and that was one of the reasons why these babies were being left in the hospital. Ed Koch, the mayor at the time, called them border babies. And they were cared for, but not on their schedule, more on the schedule of the staff. So I applied. On the one hand, I was a nurse, I had a master's degree, I was a supervisor and all that, but I was a single mother. I hadn't met my husband yet. I was white and she was brown, and in my own mind, like a lot of us, I had my own anxieties and self-doubt. I was like, are they going to approve me? But finally they did approve me, and I took Michaela home, and which was a very happy day in my life, by the way, and about 3 years later, she was freed for adoption, and then I became her adoptive mother, and through her I met my husband, who also loved her, and that was my first, that was the first time I was a mother.
Fabio Rodino, I'm not sure how to pronounce your last name. So say your name the way it should sound.
Hi. So in America, I am Fabio Redivo, but I'm originally from Brazil, where we say Redivo, which is very different. And it's kind of part of the story too. So I grew up in São Paulo, and my mom's side of the family, it's everywhere. But my dad's side of the family is very Italian. São Paulo is a very Italian place. So keep that in mind. In 2013, I got married, and we went to Italy for our honeymoon. And the only thing I knew about my last name, there was a street in Venice that's called the Redivo Calle, which a friend of mine took a picture of it. And we tried to find that place, and we didn't. Maybe we'll go back one year, and we'll try to find it. But in Italy, we were just hopping everywhere, and we're in Florence. And if you've ever been to Italy or talked to somebody who's been to Italy, you know the food there is insane good. Anywhere you go, you're gonna have a good time. But in Florence, we wanted to eat at this particular restaurant. No reservations. We just like, oh yeah, let's just go. So we walked there. It was kind of close to our bed and breakfast. And this is really beautiful, kind of like cul-de-sac. There's tables outside, very busy. And we tried to get, to the scoop of what to do around there. So I get to the door, trying to find a host or a hostess, and I don't see anybody. Again, just waiters coming in and out. So I turn out towards the door, and a man approaches me, and he says, with a very thick accent, worse than my accent, "Table for 4?" And I'm like, no, table for 2. And he looks at me and he's like, "No, 4, table for 4. And I'm like, "No, table for 2. And we went on back and forth a few times, almost getting angry at each other. 4, 2, 4, 2. And we kind of realized that he thought I was the host, and I thought that he was the host. And I looked to the side, the hostess is laughing like nonstop about this whole ridiculous situation. So I turned to her and I said, "I guess I need table for 2. I don't know what happened to the other guy because our focus shift, and she's like, "Listen, we're booked, but I'm gonna find you a table." So we got in, she found us in a little corner, and we had a very nice meal. So I guess the moral of the story is sometimes it's okay to make a fool of yourself if you can get a table in a nice restaurant. Thank you.
I think I just have Dan Doyle as our last storyteller. Is that correct? Did I miss someone? And Dan, let's give Dan the hand. I just want to say, he was the first person that we approached to say, "Could you host us, see what we do, and open up your special place for us?" And he was willing to, so I want to thank you for that. It was great.
Thank you.
And he was willing to tell a story, so.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for being here. And I'm a little embarrassed because I have notes. And I noticed nobody else was talking. So I wasn't aware that was one of the ground rules, but I'll just look at them if necessary. Yeah, so it's 1974. I'm at Rutgers College, and it's my first night as a male dancer. Oh, wait a minute, that's not the right story. Let me start again. It is September 1974. It's my first day in college on the Rutgers campus, and I'm looking out my dorm window, and I'm saying, "Now what?" Like, I'm lost. And I see 2 guys having a throw and a catch with a Frisbee. And they looked like they were pretty good. I didn't know anything about it, so I went outside and started watching and started talking to them. And the one guy introduced himself as Stork, and the other guy introduced himself as Dr. I. And so Dr. I recruited me for the Rutgers Ultimate Frisbee team, which was a fairly new sport back in 1974. And he recruited me for the Rutgers Ultimate team, and we ended up winning the first 2 ever National Collegiate Championships. And Stork asked me to follow him around. He was designing a disc golf course on the Douglas College campus, so I followed him around, and he taught me all the ins and outs of what disc golf was all about. What I found fascinating was with the disc golf, I loved playing the game, but designing a course was kind of like artwork in nature, and taking this play space and creating all these carved fairways where people could go out and what I call fondle plastic while they were hiking. So it really appealed to a part of me. But why am I sharing this story? Meeting Stork and Irv is what I refer to as cosmic serendipity. And I have this notion of fate, where there's a cosmic puppeteer up in the heavens somewhere, and she has life strings dangling. She's like the marionette.
and we're all connected to her by life strings. And she decides whose life strings are going to become entangled. And in that moment, she decided to entangle my life strings with their life strings. The next, though, is what do we do about it when we are entangled with somebody? And so I decided to go with it and hang out with them some more. And as it turns out, Irv, Dr. I. Kalb, was one of the inventors of the sport of ultimate frisbee, which probably one day will be an Olympic sport. And Stork is pretty much regarded around the world as the godfather of all disc sports. And it would be like a kid going out in 1927 and seeing Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth having a catch with a baseball. And here it was on my first day on campus. It's like, this is destiny. This is cosmic serendipity. And disc sports have been the #1 constant in my life since 1974. Besides playing on the first two collegiate championship teams, I played on 2 other world championship teams. And disc golf is something that's been a constant for my whole life. I designed the course at Douglas College after Stork taught me how to do it, that held the 1982 World Championships. And since then, I've designed about 35 other courses throughout the Northeast U.S. What's really cool is right now, I have 5 other courses I'm designing, all within 45 minutes of Warwick. One of them is going to be at the Hickory Hill Golf Course here in Warwick. And my hope, my goal, and it's all because of this cosmic serendipity, is that one day Warwick will host the World Disc Golf Championships. We're going to have our first televised event here in September, and I've been in contact with CBS Sports, and they're all on board to do some pretty serious things with disc golf here. And again, it's all because of cosmic serendipity that the Fence Road Farm Brewery came to be, and all these other activities that I'm involved in. I'm now Stork and Irv for so many other people that are coming to the brewery. So thank you for being here tonight.
Wow, who would have known? So it is we offer an opportunity to members of our audience to tell a story. And I'm wondering, is anybody sitting there with something that's saying, you know, I could tell this story? Anyone out there? I've never seen an audience where not one person was willing to listen. But it's okay. We don't force people. We love you and we support you. The survey, so we're going to close, and we have a survey that everyone has been given, I think either on your seat when you came in. Does everyone have one? Oh, no one has a survey?
I'm just going to steal this for a second. I just want to invite everybody, when you're done here, feel free to go over into the tap room in the restaurant and mingle some more. We're open for a while longer. We have, actually Thursday night, we have poker night, and they're playing poker over there. And one really cool thing about poker night is there's a woman over there, she's 81 years old, and she's a multi-time, is it multi-time?
Fourth in the nation right now.
She's 4th in the nation right now, and I think she won the World Poker Championships at some point. But feel free to go over there and mingle. It's a real chill group of people playing, but if you want to check out our tap room, feel free to wander over there.
That's really good.
You know, we did find, who did not get a survey? All right, so it's primarily, it's not everyone. There's surveys coming around. And, you know, I just wanted to make a pitch for We the People Warwick. If you haven't thought of donating, we would so appreciate it if you did, because we're a nonprofit. Everything we do is open to everyone without charge. So if you are capable or have the opportunity to donate, we would appreciate it. So thank you so much for coming out tonight.